In 2026, Fedora Linux stands at a fascinating point in its evolution, representing one of the boldest interpretations of what a modern operating system can be in the open-source world. For years, Fedora has been known as the proving ground for innovation, a distribution that dares to ship tomorrow's technologies today. But now the question feels bigger than ever. Has Fedora crossed the line from being simply cutting-edge to becoming the most advanced Linux operating system available? To answer that, we need to explore not just what Fedora includes, but how it feels to use, how it performs under pressure, how it serves developers and enterprises, and what its direction tells us about the future of Linux itself. From the very first boot, Fedora in 2026 gives off a sense of intentional refinement. The startup process is impressively fast, thanks to systemed optimizations and improved parallel service initialization. On modern NVMe storage, the system reaches the login screen in seconds. But what's more impressive is how consistent that performance feels even on mid-range or older hardware. Fedora's kernel configuration is tuned carefully to balance performance and compatibility, and because it tracks relatively recent kernel releases, hardware support is exceptional. New GPUs, Wi-Fi chipsets, and emerging CPU architectures are recognized quickly, often with minimal configuration required. For users who have struggled with proprietary driver headaches in the past, Fedora's streamlined driver management and improved integration with open graphics stacks feel like a significant step forward. Once inside the desktop, the experience is polished in a way that signals maturity. Fedora Workstation continues to embrace GNOME as its flagship desktop environment, but in 2026 it feels more cohesive than ever. Animations are smoother, multi-monitor handling is more intuitive. Fractional scaling works reliably across different display densities, and Wayland has fully cemented itself as the default display server. Wayland's progress over the years has been transformative. Input latency is lower, touchpad gestures are fluid, and screen tearing is virtually non-existent. For content creators and streamers, screen capture and recording integration under Wayland has improved dramatically, removing many of the early adoption pains. Fedora's commitment to Wayland early on has paid off, positioning it as a leader in modern display technology. Performance benchmarking reveals another interesting truth. Fedora in 2026 feels responsive not just because of flashy animations, but because of thoughtful memory management and process scheduling improvements. Background tasks remain unobtrusive. The desktop rarely stutters under load, even when compiling large codebases or running containerized workloads. Fedora's close alignment with upstream kernel development means that improvements to CPU schedulers, power management, and I/O subsystems reach users quickly. Laptop users benefit from better battery optimization, thanks to ongoing work in Power Profile's daemon and kernel-level enhancements. The result is a system that feels fast, but also intelligent in how it uses resources. For developers, Fedora has always been appealing, but in 2026 it feels almost purpose-built for modern workflows. The repositories include up-to-date versions of major programming languages, compilers, and runtimes. Rust, Go, Python, Node.js, and Java are available in current stable releases, often within days of upstream announcements. The DNF package manager remains a cornerstone of the distribution, but improvements in dependency resolution speed and caching have made it feel lighter and more efficient. Transaction history and rollback capabilities provide confidence during upgrades, reducing the fear that a single update might destabilize the system. Containers are arguably where Fedora's advanced nature shines brightest. With Podman integrated seamlessly, users can run containers without requiring a daemon, enhancing both security and simplicity. Builda and Scapeo complement this ecosystem, allowing for flexible image building and management. For developers building microservices, Fedora feels like a native habitat. Community's tooling installs cleanly, and Fedora's close relationship with Red Hat Technologies ensures compatibility with enterprise container platforms. Fedora CoreOS, meanwhile, has matured into a rock-solid choice for cloud-native deployments. It embodies the concept of an immutable operating system, where updates are atomic and rollbacks are safe. This model reduces configuration drift and enhances reliability, particularly in clustered environments. Security in Fedora 2026 feels comprehensive rather than reactive. Linux remains enabled by default, and while it once intimidated newcomers, its integration has become more transparent and user-friendly. Policy management tools are clearer, and error messages are more descriptive. Firewall defaults are sensible, and encryption options during installation are straightforward. Fedora's rapid update cycle ensures that security patches land quickly, reducing exposure windows. But perhaps more importantly, Fedora fosters a culture of proactive security. Sandboxing technologies are embraced rather than avoided. Flatpak applications run with limited permissions by default, and users can inspect and modify those permissions easily. The operating system encourages best practices without forcing complexity on the user. The shift toward Flatpak as a primary application delivery mechanism reflects broader industry trends, yet Fedora executes it in a way that feels balanced. Traditional RPM packages are still central to the base system, but desktop applications increasingly arrive as sandboxed bundles. This hybrid model improves reliability. Applications are less likely to conflict with system libraries, and updates are decoupled from CoreOS changes. For developers, Flatpak simplifies distribution across different Fedora versions. For users, it means fewer broken dependencies and a more predictable experience. Fedora's installer has also evolved. The installation process is streamlined, with clearer partitioning options and better support for advanced storage configurations like BTRFS subvolumes. Fedora's embrace of BTRFS as the default file system has proven wise. Snapshotting capabilities allow users to recover from system misconfigurations or failed updates with minimal stress. Compression features reduce disk usage without noticeable performance penalties. For advanced users, sub-volume management enables creative workflows, such as isolating development environments or testing configurations safely. Enterprise users often look for stability, and while Fedora is not marketed as a long-term support distribution, its reliability in 2026 challenges outdated assumptions. The 6-month release cycle continues, but upgrades between versions are smoother than ever. The upgrade tool handles transitions gracefully, preserving configurations and minimizing downtime. Many users report running Fedora continuously for years, upgrading version to version without reinstalling. That level of continuity speaks volumes about the distribution's robustness. One area where Fedora distinguishes itself is hardware enablement. Emerging architectures like ARM and RISC-V receive serious attention. Fedora's builds for single-board computers and experimental hardware showcase its willingness to explore beyond traditional desktop PCs. As computing diversifies into edge devices and specialized hardware, Fedora positions itself as a flexible foundation rather than a narrowly focused desktop OS. This adaptability reinforces its advanced reputation. The community behind Fedora remains one of its strongest assets. Governance is transparent. Proposals for significant changes are discussed openly, often months in advance. Contributors from around the world participate in testing, packaging, documentation, and design. Fedora's culture encourages experimentation, but within a structured framework that maintains coherence. This balance between freedom and coordination ensures that innovation does not devolve into chaos. Comparisons with other distributions are inevitable. Ubuntu offers long-term support stability and broad commercial backing. Arch Linux offers rolling release bleeding edge immediacy. Debian offers unmatched conservatism and reliability. Fedora occupies a unique middle ground. It is forward-looking without being reckless, modern without being unstable, and enterprise-aware without sacrificing community roots. In 2026, that positioning feels particularly relevant. The computing landscape is changing rapidly, with AI workloads, containerized deployments, and heterogeneous hardware becoming the norm. Fedora's readiness to adapt gives it a distinct advantage. Artificial intelligence integration is an emerging frontier. Fedora's developers are exploring AI-assisted diagnostics and system tuning tools. Imagine a system monitor that not only displays metrics, but suggests optimizations based on usage patterns. Imagine package management tools that anticipate conflicts before they occur. While still in development, these experiments hint at a future where the operating system becomes more proactive and context-aware. Fedora's openness ensures that such features are transparent and modifiable rather than opaque black boxes. Of course, no distribution is perfect. Fedora's rapid adoption of new technologies can occasionally introduce rough edges. Some proprietary software vendors lag behind in supporting the latest libraries. Users dependent on niche closed-source applications may encounter compatibility challenges. Yet these issues often diminish over time as vendors catch up, and Fedora's documentation frequently provides workarounds or guidance. For users who value open standards and modern infrastructure, these trade-offs feel acceptable. Gaming performance on Fedora has improved significantly as well. With up-to-date Mesa drivers, strong Wayland support, and easy access to Steam and Proton via Flatpak, Fedora has become a viable gaming platform. Frame rates are competitive and input latency is low. Controller support works out of the box in most cases. While it may not market itself specifically as a gaming distribution, Fedora's modern kernel and graphics stack make it surprisingly capable. For content creators, Fedora offers powerful tools. Video editors, 3D modeling software, and audio production suites run smoothly. Hardware acceleration support ensures efficient rendering. Color management integration under Wayland is more reliable than in previous years. Professionals who once hesitated to adopt Linux for creative workflows are increasingly finding Fedora suitable for daily use. As we look toward the horizon, Fedora's roadmap suggests continued boldness. Deeper integration with immutable system paradigms may reshape how desktops are managed. Enhanced container-native desktop environments could blur the line between system and application isolation. Support for emerging security standards and hardware-backed encryption will likely strengthen. Fedora's role as an upstream innovator means its experiments often influence the broader Linux ecosystem. So, is Fedora Linux in 2026 the most advanced Linux OS yet? In many ways, yes. Advanced not merely in terms of new features, but in coherence. Advanced in balancing innovation with usability. Advanced in integrating containers, security, hardware support, and community governance into a unified whole. It may not be the most conservative choice, nor the simplest for absolute beginners, but it represents the forefront of open-source operating system design. Fedora in 2026 feels confident. It feels purposeful. It embodies a vision where the operating system is not a static foundation, but a dynamic participant in technological progress. For developers, sysadmins, creators, gamers, and enthusiasts, it offers a platform that is modern, secure, and forward-looking. And perhaps most importantly, it demonstrates that open source can lead rather than follow. Whether or not it is objectively the most advanced Linux OS may depend on individual priorities, but there is no doubt that Fedora stands among the leaders, shaping the future rather than reacting to it.